I, Bruce the Oaf, pledge my allegiance to the Grey Society.
Come back again. Come another time. What are you doing here? Go away.
Come back next week.
What's an oaf?
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan and I am the oaf in charge. In Alberta, we have 5 national parks. I needed to crunch some numbers and figure out which of these was the best one, so I consulted my crack team of oafs to go through it, figure out which one was the best one, explore different ideas. They settled on a few things. Ultimately, they provided me with a ranking system of the 5 national parks in Alberta. Now, if you're not familiar with the idea, in Alberta, Canada, and Canada in general, we have a number of national parks. These are parks that are protected by various laws that don't allow certain things to happen in those parks. This is the top 5 national parks located in Alberta, Canada. Number 5 has got to be Elk Island National Park. Now, when you go on the national park website and you look up different national parks and you look up Elk Island, I think Elk Island might be the smallest national park. Now, that's not to say that it's a bad place to go, but when you're looking at, there's a lot of criteria that my oafs came up with, and one of the criteria was the size of the park. Elk Island really is a small park. As far as parks go, it would be my least. I would not pick it over some of the other. If I had an option to go to any of the other 5, that would be my least likely. It does have a lot of possible activities. The explanation of Elk Island is pretty, just 35 minutes east of Edmonton lies a natural wonderland open all year long. Spread a blanket and gaze at a starry sky free from city lights, or follow the footprints of a bison and learn how this magnificent animal was brought back from near extinction. It's a great place to go visit. I'm not trying to diss it. I'm not trying to make fun of it or anything like that. If I got the opportunity, if somebody was like, hey, you get to go to any national park, which one are you going to? That would not be the first on my list. Let's put it that way. Of the 5, the next one would be Wood Buffalo National Park. Now, the reason why I would pick this one over Elk Island, one of the concerns with Elk Island, of course, is very small, while Wood Buffalo is the absolute largest of the national parks. 44,741 square kilometers. I don't know what that is in miles. It's enormous. That's an enormous area. They've got the possibility of canoeing, which, sorry, Elk Island, you don't have that. A lot of great things you can do, I suppose, up there. It is muskeg. When I hear the word muskeg, I include the word mosquito, because that's probably what you're gonna see. Now, you can go there in the winter, and obviously no mosquitoes in the winter. Things to do list. The things to do list is a bit shorter, but from an oaf's perspective, I would say a place like Wood Buffalo National Park, that's a place I'm curious. And one of the cool things I would bet you could see out there would be the Northern Lights, would just be amazing. I am very curious about this place. I know there's kind of a plateau that rises up, and I'd love to see that terrain. I've never seen it. I've never been personally, and so that's the part that I'm kind of like, ooh, I'm curious, I'm intrigued. Yeah, that's on my list. However, given the choice, if I were to rank it, because it's so far away, it's not something you're kind of rolling the dice. I would put it above or below some of the other ones. Number 3 is going to be Waterton National Park. Now, Waterton National Park is located near the border of Alberta and the United States and British Columbia. It's kind of like a 3-way border. It's a beautiful park. It's got a lot of things you can do. You can drive there very easily from any of from the United States. It's fairly easy to get to. And from some cities in Alberta, it's closer to Lethbridge, which is where I'm from. Yeah, even though it's closer to me, even though I can get to it very easily, I still wouldn't put it above the other 2, the last 2. As far as bang for the buck, for what you're gonna see there, the other 2 have more. They offer more. Okay, so I'm gonna get to why in a second. But Waterton does offer some really cool things. Got great waterfalls, great hiking, canoeing, access to a lot of great places. Downsides, wind. If I'm gonna be honest about, southern Alberta, what I hate the most is wind. And so because it's so windy and can be quite windy sometimes, there's that. It also experienced fire recently. And so some of the really cool places that you could access before, or that at least the view, been destroyed by the fire. That's not to say that fires aren't cool, by the way. So don't diss a place just because it burned. It's not its fault. But I would say Waterton, it's an interesting place to go, especially in the summer, because it can be so hot in southern Alberta, and Waterton is no exception. So there's good things and bad things about Waterton that I would put it below these last two. Number 2 is going to be absolutely Banff National Park. Banff, spelled B-A-N-F-F, not Banff. I like Banff so much because it has quite a bit of variety. So you can go to Banff and experience, the joy of being in a large town, I suppose, large town. The town site of Banff is beautiful. There's lots of amenities, restaurants, art programs, film festivals. There's a lot of stuff going on in the town of Banff, and that's cool if that's your jam. If you're not really into the outdoors, hey, you've got this little town that's got a lot of this vibrant community, very much supported by Calgary, which is nearby. And yeah, it's for some people, they would absolutely put Banff above the next one, but I would say from this oaf's perspective, from me, my perspective, I don't like people so much. Now, I like people, but I don't like crowds of people. And if you don't like crowds of people, then you're probably on team oaf, at least on my side of that equation. I prefer tranquility. I prefer, smaller groups of people. I don't mind people. I just don't like lots of people around. So Banff has some beautiful, hands down, some of the most beautiful places on the planet. One of the great things about the Canadian Rocky Mountains, if you're unfamiliar with this, is the difference between ground level, where you start, and where the mountains end, like the tops of the mountains, is high. Even though they're not the tallest mountains in the world, the variance between where you can, the trailhead, okay, and then the top of the mountain is enormous, okay? You can go to other places in the world and you just don't have that difference. The Canadian Rockies does, and that's really obvious in places like Banff. So that's what makes Banff amazing. It has glaciers, big mountains, great places to hike. It's an all-around amazing place, really. Banff is, hands down, one of my favorite places to go in the world. However, it is not nearly as good as the last place. So the last place has got to be, hands down, Jasper National Park. One of the great things about Jasper is that it's out of the way, meaning it's got all the great things that Banff does, but not about half the number of tourists. It's a great place to visit and see all the things you would see in Banff with half the people. Yeah, that's my way of putting Jasper. Now, that's not to say it's got its own unique stuff, that's for sure. One of the great things you can see in Jasper are the ice fields. If you enjoy that kind of a thing, if you like seeing glaciers, Jasper has some big peaks with very big glaciers that you can go right up to. It's got really cool places you can go for a hike, just incredible backcountry hikes, huts. I would argue Jasper has everything that Banff has, but just a little bit bigger and just a little bit more remote. So I know our oafs, they had to really fight over this and really argue, but the consensus eventually came, yeah, it's true, Jasper is the place to go. So there you go. That's my national parks of Alberta, ranked from the worst to the best, I guess. Not worst, but you know what I mean. If you're enjoying this, if this is something you really enjoy, or maybe you're watching this and you're like, okay, cool, now what do? I want to go hiking. Well, check out the other videos I've got below. There's one over here on how to pack your backpack. Another one over here on excuses people sometimes have for going hiking. I will see you in the next video. You could just subscribe or something. Whatever, man. Get out of here. Go on, get out of here.